Columbia's local FM talk radio experience. The Point.
Now at 100.7.
It's time for Success in Real Estate with Frankie Griffin, owner and broker in charge of the Palmetto Success Team, certified residential specialist, accredited buyer representative, military relocation professional, real estate appraiser, and author of Success in Real Estate. If you are interested in buying or selling a home, investing in real estate, or having your home appraised, you will enjoy Success in Real Estate. Now, here's Frankie Griffin.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Success in Real Estate. Thank you so much for tuning in. We've got a show you're not going to want to miss today. We are going to, for the most part, going to tackle some of this mainstream media. In fact, I've heard this term thrown out there a lot. Some people even suggest there's a lot of fake news out there, like Brian tells me. We're going to try to tackle some of this because, one of the things you keep hearing a lot nowadays, interest rates are going up, and that's going to cause the economy to at least slow down, stagnate, if not crash. Real estate is going to lose. It's just one thing after another. And I'm convinced it seems like there are some that want people to believe things are getting worse and a lot worse than they really are, when in reality, the economy is just booming right now. Now, look, I don't know what's going to happen next week. I'm not Jesus. But I can tell you, real estate is booming. It is great. It's awesome right now. Now, there's a couple things I wish we could improve, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. But to try to help us understand these rates, these interest rates, why they go up, why are they, how can they impact real estate, and not just real estate, but the economy and market as a whole, I brought in everybody's favorite, our mortgage go-to gal, Miss Erica Hill West, is actually in studio this morning. How you doing, Miss Erica?
I'm wonderful. How are you, Frankie?
Oh, this is a fine day today. And I know there's a lot of people out there listening right now, Erica, that, I get calls all the time, especially sometimes during the show, but a lot of times after the show. What was your mortgage go-to gal's number? How can I get in touch with her? All the time.
And they call me.
So I bet they better. But to have you in studio, so I know a lot of people are going to be wanting to call in, and if you do, that's great. Got any questions or comments? The number 799-8255. Now, area code is 803-799-8255. But let's just talk real quick, just in general. For probably the last decade, minus the last couple of years, the prime that the government charges has been zero. Mm-hmm. Now, what does that mean? In fact, what does prime mean? What does that have to do with financing?
So it has to do with the way that lenders and banks purchase rates on the secondary market. Honestly, the details of it is way above my pay grade. But that's what that term specifically means when he talks about prime. It's how much lenders and banks, we actually have to go and purchase those rates from the secondary market.
Which, you're talking about Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac.
Yeah. Ginnie Mae, all of those.
Sallie Mae, all them good old boys and girls.
That's right.
But, the way I understand it, basically the lender is borrowing money from the government because these secondary entities are government entities. And that's one way the government makes money.
Of course.
And for the last...
at least 7 years.
Yeah. For most of a decade, the government has been making no money, which is why, in fact, the only income they have is to tax you. You got to pay tax because they're not bringing in money through finance. And that can, and again, obviously, I'm not an economist, but that's what sort of why the market was stagnant. It could not grow because, in essence, the government is forcing the rates down. They won't let them go up. And at some point, you have to do that to fight inflation.
That's right.
It has. I mean, that's the only way you're going to keep inflation in check. But it's been so long that we forced it down. But as it started to go, I mean, even 0.25% or 0.5%, that's when you started seeing the market start rebounding.
Turn
some.
around. That's right.
Yeah. And that's just the way it works. Now, so when rates go up, and in fact, let me just ask you that: what are the rates roughly? What if I go get a loan today? What are we looking at?
Depending on the type of loan, your credit score, that type of thing.
There's a lot of variables.
In term, right? So depending on 15, 20, or 30, if you have maybe a 15 or a 10-year term, you could be in the threes, but most likely you're probably going to be 4.5, and up, depending on if it's primary residence, that kind of thing. So that's probably where you're starting out at.
And that's still, even if it's say 5, that's low. When you look at the historical
That's right.
number.
The last, last week, did I tell you, I think in the last 47 years, the average interest rate has been 8%.
8%. Yeah. And, but what you're hearing is when these rates go up, that's going to quell, buyers aren't going to buy anymore.
It's not true.
Real estate's going to crash again. And it's not true. It is, that is not going to keep people from buying a house. Now, there's going to be some changes. And it's typically going to be, if you approve me and I'm approved for $1,000 a month, PITI, most I can do is $1,000 a month. If the rate's higher, that means I'm going to be able to pay less for a house.
It means
I won't be able to pay as much.
That's right. That's right.
So I'll have to get a smaller house or something that's priced cheaper. So I think the worst case scenario, you're going to see sellers have to start lowering the price a little bit in some cases. And we're not even there yet.
Not yet.
Because I'm telling you, it's, what small increase we've had is just not going to have that impact. But you listen to the media. They are doing everything they can to make people think the economy's going down, the economy's bad, and it's going to get worse. I mean, that's what you hear. You agree?
Yeah, typically.
And I'm just a little aggravated, I guess, because the market is still booming, certainly in South Carolina and everywhere else for the most part. But the one thing that is kind of slowing things down, and I don't know what to do about it, is the inventory.
That's right.
There's just not much to buy. So your options are very limited, especially if you're a first-time home buyer. And I think that's why you see the first-time home buyers, you don't see them that much, rather. It's a very low percentage that's actually buying right now because it's hard to afford.
What's out there, absolutely. What's on the market, for sure.
So when you have low inventory, sellers are going to drive up, they're going to raise up their prices and a number of things. But we're going to talk more about the inventory and the interest rates. We've got to take a break. Love to hear from you, 799-8255. Be right back with Success in Real Estate.
Now at 100.7 FM and 1470 AM.
All right, good morning again. Welcome back to Success in Real Estate. I'm Frankie Griffin, broker in charge and appraiser. Thank you for joining us this morning. And now that I've got some things off my chest that I had in the first segment, I feel better. I encourage you, in fact, if you want to be safe, y'all just don't even listen to the news, because every single channel you turn to, the media they have an agenda. I'm convinced of it more than ever. And they're going to push the news that supports what they want you to think or what they want you to know. And, that's just not the way it should be. But I'm telling you right now, real estate is looking really good. It's certainly around South Carolina, and I'm telling you other states as well. And as rates go up, excuse me, they're not going to have the effect that you're hearing in the media. There's just not. You know, because, you hear people say, well, I saw on the news the rates are going up and now people are not going to buy. Well, I can tell you, one of the first houses I ever bought, Erica, and I'm sure you may remember this, but my interest rate was 16%.
And that was probably a heck of a deal.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know any better at the time. It's just that's what the rates were. But obviously, we're talking back in the 80s. And that's if you had good credit.
That's right.
16, 17%, or even higher in some cases. And like you said earlier, the last probably 30, 40 years, the average has been around 8%. And we're still hovering almost half of that.
That's right.
So, look, things are good. And I'm going to tell you, even in the 80s when the rates were so high, people were still buying houses.
You want to know why?
Why?
Because regardless of who is president, this is the truth.
Yeah.
People are going to get married, and people are going to get divorced, and people are going to have babies, and people are going to be relocated, and people are going to lose people, and kids are going to go to college. And so there's always going to be a need for housing.
Got to have somewhere to live.
Regardless of what the interest rates are.
Exactly. So interest rates, it will depend on how far to go up and and stuff like that. It would have, it could have a impact on what the sales price would be. But you're right, they're still going to be buying houses. So if you want to buy a house, you can still do that. If you want to sell your house, you can still do that. People say, but if the prices or values start going down, and I said, then I'm losing money. Well, not really, because I'm assuming when you sell your house, you're going to be buying another one. Well, the house you buy is going to have a lower price too. But the markets go up and down. They always have, and they always will. It's going to be fine, and it really is. And the other thing I wanted to just sort of touch on real quick, assuming you have any kind of retirement fund or retirement plan, 401k, whatever it is, you better hope these rates go up.
That's right. That is absolutely right.
Because that's where these growth markets grow as the prime goes up.
So the other thing is that when we're talking about this, Frankie, when people take a snapshot of a day, like when the market tanks in a day, and they all start freaking out, and you hear a lot of information, it's similar to looking at your retirement every day, and on a good day, basing what your future income is going to be based on one good market day and what's in your account. That's not how these things are established or determined. It's by looking at historical findings, not a snapshot of a day.
Absolutely. So, the economy is doing well. And I don't know what money coach Fran Holloran's doing right now. Maybe if he is listening, because he's not doing anything today, maybe he'll call in, because I got a couple questions about the markets and how these rates and things affect the market. But knowing Fran, he's probably working, doing his thing, so might not be able to talk to him anyway. But we'll be okay. If we need to, we can bring Brian into discussion.
That's right.
He knows everything there's
He does.
About the stock market for sure. But I just wanted to iterate the fact that this is it's a good time right now financially. The economy's doing well. Now, I did want to talk about this inventory shortage. And Erica, I don't know if you remember I'm sure you do, because you've been in finance for a long time. But I remember some of the economists back during when the real estate crashed. Mm-hmm. A lot of builders went completely under.
Yep.
In fact, just quit building. You couldn't sell it. You couldn't give a house away hardly for about a year or two. So builders quit building, and you started hearing the people forecasting that we were going to have a housing shortage. And I think we're seeing that right now. I think one of the reasons a lot of people are not selling their house or putting house on the market, they don't have anywhere to go.
That is absolutely true.
They can't find, there's nothing what they want out there, so they're not willing to put their house on the market Because right now they're selling in 1 to 2 weeks.
2 weeks. That's
Yeah.
right.
So when you put your house on the market, you better know where you're
You better
going.
be ready. That's right.
So I don't know we got to get some people building out there. Apparently, we need some more housing because I think, sure enough, that's what we're facing right now.
But likewise, I think it also is important if owners would realize that there also is an advantage to listing right now. You may have equity that you may not even know about because of the things that we're specifically talking about right now.
Absolutely.
So people that think that they may not have enough money to move somewhere else, I think that you're wrong, and you need to call Frankie and let him do an analysis.
Let's
to show
check
you.
it out.
Yeah.
Check it out. Well, I was teaching a continuing ed class one day this week, Wednesday, I think it was. And one of the things that come up in this class, well, we were talking about TRID,
Yeah.
because that's still the core requirement for this year. But anyway, one of the examples that we're using in that class, I think they were talking about $150,000 loan. And they were showing the differences between if you had, say, a 620 credit score, and they broke it down all the way up to like a 760 credit score or higher, what the interest rate would be for each one versus the payment. And you're talking about from a 620 credit score to I think it was a
740?
maybe 740. It was $142 a month difference in your payment. So the interest rate, it is important. And the reason I want to bring this out, because I know, and you do this, most people, they could apply for a loan with you. And there's a lot of times there's going to be maybe one or two things going on with the credit that's causing the credit score to be where it's at. But if you wait, a few weeks, there's some things you can do to tweak that and cause your credit score to go up, and it can save you a lot of money.
Yes.
Over the years. So do you want to buy now with the score where it is, or do we want to try to do some things? And I know you do this all the time. You help people, tell people how to fix things or take care of this and make their credit score go up, and can save a lot of money.
It's worth it. I mean, we can even do it instantly in the sense that we don't have to wait for those things to report. We can get documentation and force it to report to see your score change pretty quick with maybe 10 business days.
Yeah. And it's worth that. I mean, when you look at the money savings,
it's worth a half or a quarter of a percentage of a point for sure.
I mean, can you imagine $142 extra a month just because? Now that's jumping way up there from 620 to 740, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, you also have to realize that's almost $2,000 a year times 30.
But if you can just get halfway up
Just
there
halfway.
and cut half of that payment
That's
off,
it.
it's just a big deal. And that's one of the reasons I really appreciate what you do with our clients, because we want to get it right. But I know a lot of lenders, I don't think they're interested or care. They just want to get a loan done now, puts another check in their pocket, when they could have done a few other things, been a little diligent, and saved, $70, $80, $100 a month.
That's right.
On their payment.
It's really easy, too. It doesn't take a lot of time. You just have to make sure that the consumer has the capacity to do it and the desire, and you really can make a huge difference, not just in their payment, but sometimes with their buying power. Their purchasing power can change with that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, and I know we only have probably a couple minutes or so left in this segment. Am I right, Brian? How close? But in the next segment, one of the things I'd like to get into, if you're able to talk about it, is, what makes up that credit score? I know there's algorithms and all these things, but I've listened to you teach our classes about how the credit works and things you can do to, and might not be the right word, but manipulate that credit score.
Sure.
But I want to talk about that a little bit in the next segment, because I don't want to run out of time. But, there's just so many things that you could do. But where we're seeing a lot of issues with a lot of people is they wait until they find it, and then they want to move right now. They want to jump on. I found a house. We want to do it right now. Hadn't even talked to you. Hadn't talked to the lender yet. And it can just cause a lot of problems.
Yes. I've seen people that some agents will take around for 2 or 3 months, and then they finally find the house, and they're calling me at 7:30 at night, and I'm pulling everything, and it's not the way that it needs to be in order to make a deal happen.
Yeah. I had a buyer call me a couple of weeks ago, probably, and ready to buy a house, first house. And I said, well, that's awesome. Now, have you already talked to a lender? Have you already been approved? And, well, no, we haven't done that yet. Okay, well, let me give you a number. Call Erica, and let's make sure we know what we can do. Well, I don't know that my credit is going to be okay. Well, then we don't need to go out there and look at no house if there's any ifs and buts. And we got to get those things fixed up now.
Yes.
Not going to do you any good to go out there shopping. And I'm not really crazy about just burning up a bunch of gas going to look at the houses. That's what that's what Joseph does.
Well, it's true, but I tell consumers also that call me that are very iffy and reluctant to let me look at their credit profiles that we're really trying to protect them. It's not just that it's a waste of necessarily time or money, but you can be set up to have missed expectations.
Yeah. Well, you got to prepare for success.
That's right.
So what we got to do? All right, got to take our bottom of the hour break. Still love to hear from you if you have any questions or comments, anything Eric can help you with. 799-8255. Be right back with Success in Real Estate. All right, good morning again. Welcome back to Success in Real Estate. I'm Frankie Griffin, broker in charge and appraiser, in studio with our mortgage go-to gal, Miss Erica Hill West, and also as a special guest in studio, the world's greatest daughter-in-law, Shannon Griffin, is in studio. She'll be talking to us a little bit in the final segment. Got a lot of things to talk about with her, but anyway. We've also got on our phone lines, we've got South Carolina's favorite attorney, Andy On with On & McKay Law Firm. How you doing, Mr. Andy?
Hey, brother. How you doing?
Oh, you know this is a fine day today.
It is a fine day. I'm telling you. I'm hoping the rain holds off, and I'm hoping the weather stays nice. It's really beautiful outside.
Oh,
I appreciate you taking my call, and I'm excited to hear Erica in there. You know, one of the things I love about Erica, and I hate to talk about you in the third person because I know you're there, Erica.
That's okay, Andy.
Erica is an educator. More than anything else for her clients, she educates, and she helps to, set expectations, to manage expectations, and to set goals and objectives for the clients. And that's something that not many loan folks do, And it's just, for me as somebody that's part of her team, she's part of my team, it makes the transaction that much smoother. It helps us to anticipate issues that other folks get surprised by, and it just helps the overall process. And I cannot. She gets my highest endorsement. Not that means a whole lot. That's
it does.
Erica. We'll get you a cup of coffee, maybe. Okay?
No, it does. Thank you,
but
Andy.
I tell you, you do a super job, and we just appreciate you. And I'm so excited that Erica is going to be at our next tutor tour, which is next Thursday. Frankie, we are hosting this at my buddy and yours, Rusty Koivu's listing out of the Lexington area. And I think actually Rusty's going to call in a few minutes to talk to us a little bit about the listing. But this subject is going to be about due diligence and how due diligence interrelates with finance. There have been so many nightmare scenarios where, folks that are trying to get inspections done, find things that they didn't anticipate, don't do the inspections that they need to do, find out about issues late, and a lot of times these issues affect and impact financing. And I know Erica can probably share as many war stories as I can about this. One of the big things is termite letters. I had a situation years ago where I was closing a transaction for two seasoned agents that were good friends of mine that I'd done a lot of work with.
Wasn't me.
And not you, that's right. But an issue came up with the termite letter, and it was an issue that could have been resolved easily, but it was too late to resolve it. at that point in time, we were closing the transaction, and the lender was requiring a clean termite letter. We didn't have a clean termite letter because the folks that did the work weren't properly licensed. And the folks that did the work were recommended by the real estate agent. So we had to do some quick thinking, and we were able to get the transaction closed and resolved, and everybody, moved on and lived happily ever after. But at the end of the day, we want to try to avoid those nightmares. So this seminar is going to be about, trying to anticipate the monster around the corner. In my opinion, I could talk days about due diligence, kicking the tires, inspecting property. But one of the things that a lot of real estate professionals don't realize, and a lot of clients don't realize, that there are some things that should be included in due diligence that oftentimes aren't.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't include those things in due diligence within a timely period, within the time frame outlined in the contract, you waive your right to go back and inspect those things. One of the primary examples of that is if you want, let's say you want to put a pool in your backyard, okay? Well, one of the things you want to make sure you do is do a survey so that you don't buy a home that has a backyard with an underground utility easement going right across the back where you put your pool. Well, there's so many folks that don't realize that, and it's a simple fix. It's a fix with some contingency language in the contract, but if they don't do that, if they don't include that inspection as part of their due diligence, then after, at least in Central Carolina, where we have 10 days to do inspections, you waive that. So those are the kind of issues we're going to be talking about. We're going to be giving some real estate professionals some strategies, some solutions to some of these issues. So excited about having Erica involved in this because she really teams up with agents on dealing with issues like this. There are just a lot of issues that affect financing, like concessions, and if you've done an inspection and you want a carpet allowance, you want hold money in escrow. That's the kind of partner she is. She's there to kind of spitball those issues with, so that you don't run into a problem at close. And so we're really excited about it. It is going to be next Thursday. It is an evening event, which is always a little more fun.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yes.
It'll start up around 5:30. So from 5:30 to 6, we'll get everybody in, get everybody fed, and then 6 to about 7, we'll have the seminar, and it's just wonderful. And just appreciate Rusty Koivu.
And he's on the line right now, by the way. How you doing? Let's bring Rusty up. How you doing this morning, Rusty?
I'm doing great. It is a wonderful day.
Well, tell us about that big old house you've got out here.
Well, I wouldn't say it's a big old house. It's 1,587 square feet, a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. The real beauty of the home is it's in the town of Lexington, and it overlooks a creek and some woods in the back, and it's just gorgeous. There's a beautiful Florida room that you sit on to look at all this beautiful nature.
Okay.
That's going to be awesome, Rusty. We really appreciate the opportunity to have it out there, and we're excited about it. What school district is that in, Russ?
That is Lexington 1, so it's Lexington Elementary and Middle Schools and River Bluff High School.
And Lexington 1, that's a good district. That's a good district.
It's an awesome district.
It's an awesome district. It's where Rusty and I went to high school, okay? That's where we grew up, okay? Now, I was in the half of the class that made the top half possible, okay? So,
I was in the other half.
Rusty did most of my term papers, okay? But, and I think you still offer those services, don't you, Russ?
I don't know if I'm qualified to do that anymore.
Well, hey, one other thing I want to, Andy, before you get off the phone, is I saw where you made the top 100 trial lawyers in the state.
Yeah, well,
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Andy.
Hey, even a blind pig finds an acorn every now and then, right? So, well, I appreciate it. It was a really honor and really a surprising distinction. I didn't know about it till a couple weeks ago, but I appreciate it, and I just want to thank more than anybody else, the clients that have just really, been part of our family for the last 22 years. We couldn't be anything without them. So we just appreciate 5:30. Call my office, 744-0824. Go ahead and RSVP. We've got a lot of folks that are showing interest in this already. So we'd love to have a great crowd. We'll have barbecue served, as usual. So come on, join us, and we can't wait to see you. Appreciate you, Frankie.
Thank you. Rusty,
Thanks,
have a good
Andy.
one, buddy.
Russ,
Thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you. All right, that was Andy On with On and McKay Law Firm. Sorry, a little audio sounds kind of rough a little bit, but hopefully we heard most of what he said. But if you'd like to go to that event, I'll tell you, it's a great event, and you get a chance to actually meet Erica West in person. Our mortgage go-to gal will be right there. And, you know, you can contact Andy just by going on his website and see all their contact information there. If you can't find his website or his information, you can always go to my website, just frankiegriffin.com. Click on the Real Estate Partners link, and there you'll see Andy On. You'll see our mortgage go-to gal is right there. I believe we've got the absolute best people on that list of real estate partners. I do. They are absolutely incredible at what they do. I don't think you'll go wrong. I know we're about to run out of time in this segment, but on the other side, I'm going to give away a gift card for Texas Roadhouse. If you know what LTV means, LTV, give us a call, 799-8255.
100.7 FM and 1470 AM.
All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Success in Real Estate. I'm Frankie Griffin, broker in charge and appraiser. And I've got a featured property I want to talk about real quick, and then we're going to see if somebody's got the answer to the question. And again, the question was, what is LTV? What does that mean? All right, but here's my featured property, and this is one we've actually talked about before, but I'm bringing it up again because we've had, as I've seen a lot of agents state, a price improvement. Isn't that nice? Yeah, I still call it a price reduction, but I guess it's whatever you want to call it. But we've got a house, Joseph and I, we've got this house listed in Governor's Grant. It's now $429,900 is the price, but y'all, this is a big house. I mean, you've got over 3,200 feet, right around 3,230. It's 5 bedrooms, 3.5 baths, over half acre of land. There's an Olympic-sized pool, community pool. It's just a really nice house. And to make it even that much more special, my daughter-in-law grew up in this house. She lived in this house. Isn't that right, Shannon? Yep. Got her on the show. Okay. No, it's a great house in Governor's Grant. And if you know Governor's Grant over in Lexington, you know this is an awesome neighborhood to live in. Love to show it to you. If you want to just give us a call or give us an email, either one, and we would love to go show it to you. And I guess whoever knew the answer to our question, what is LTV? What does it stand for? I will tell you this, it's a financing term. It's dealing with financing. If you know what LTV means, if you know what that means, give us a call. I'll give you a $25 gift card to Texas Roadhouse. And I should have said this earlier, but I'll say it now. We don't want any repeat winners. So if you've already won this before, give somebody else a chance. But we still have Erica West in studio. And Erica, one of the things I want to make sure we do talk about, because everybody's always asking about the credit score. What can we do about it? Well, first of all, and I thought I saw something where like 30 or 35% of the credit score is just making payments on time.
Yes, of course.
Well, try that again. That would turn you on.
Oh, you have me on now?
You're
Can you
on.
hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So a good, that's, 35%. That's a decent chunk of your credit score is comprised of your payment history.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, that doesn't mean that if all you do is make on time payments, you're going to have a perfect credit score.
Yeah.
But it is a huge component to having a good credit score.
And, contrary to what maybe, say, a Dave Ramsey might say, of course, Dave Ramsey tell you don't need credit. Shouldn't have credit.
Until you need to buy a house.
And when I get my first $1 billion, I'll probably agree with him.
Right.
But until then, I need some money.
Mm-hmm.
Within reason.
Within
and I
reason.
understand there's things you borrow money for and there's things you don't. But
there's a way to establish a credit score without getting into debt.
Mm-hmm.
That is a huge misconception. Now, if a person doesn't have the discipline to be responsible with credit, that's on them, and I think that's what Dave Ramsey is trying to say, is that most people don't have the discipline to use credit responsibly, therefore just don't have credit.
Yeah. And I've heard you say, to have a strong credit score, which is important if you're going to be borrowing money, you got to have, you need a credit card.
Yes, you have to have a revolving account. Absolutely.
But you got to pay it off.
Yeah, you got to keep the balance, the reporting balance below 30% or less of the available limit.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we've got somebody on the phone line now that knows the answer to the question. We've got Chris on the line. How you doing this morning, Chris?
Doing good.
Awesome. Well, do you know what LTV means?
Loan to value?
Very good. Now, did you go look that up, or did you just know it?
Just kind of knew it.
See there? That's what, and I'm going to tell you, loan to value, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, Erica and I, but, it's really important to understand some of the facets of the term, what you're approved for. What are the terms of that loan? And obviously, LTV is going to be a big part of it. But I appreciate you calling in and listening to the show.
All right. Thank you.
Well, hold tight, because Brian needs to get your information so I know where to send this card. And I will tell you, ever eat at Texas Roadhouse before?
Yes, sir, I have.
Oh, it's good. If you haven't tried it yet, you got to do the roadkill.
Oh,
It's
the
so
roadkill,
good.
I haven't had that. I'll give that a shot.
Oh, man, that's some good stuff right there. Chris, hope you have a great weekend, okay?
All right, you do the same.
All right, you take care.
Loan to value.
Loan to value.
Loan to value.
One of the things that you see a lot, and where agents kind of drop the ball here a lot too, we'll get a lender, we'll give them, their pre-approval. You've been pre-approved up to $150,000.
Yep.
But the terms of the loan typically are not identified in that letter. So we go out looking for $150,000 houses.
Right.
And, if you've got a loan, and just say, for example, you were approved for $150,000 with a 90% LTV, that means you got a $15,000 down payment.
That's right.
Because you got to put 10% down.
Mm-hmm.
And buyers, I don't know whether lenders are not explaining that to them, or they don't know it, or they don't want to hear it, or whatever. But then all of a sudden we got this house under contract. We get the closing disclosure, and they find out how much they got to bring to closing. And they're like, "Well, I don't have that."
See, that I'm glad we're talking about this, because I specifically will not give out a pre-qualification or a pre-approval if I'm doing a phone interview with a prospective buyer.
Mm-hmm.
And when we discuss their assets, the available assets they have for a transaction is less than what is required, I will not give them a pre-qualification letter and just hope they come up with the money to close. Like that's, and I think a lot of lenders, they skip over that. And that can create a lot of problems, a lot of delays, a lot of heartache. And I think what happens is, Frankie, is that lenders sometimes, we do, multiple transactions in a month, and so it becomes second nature. And you have to stop and realize that most of your clients are only going to do this 1, 2, maybe 3 times their entire life.
Yeah, and sometimes, and real estate agents are guilty too, but sometimes we just assume people know what we know.
Yeah.
And that is the absolute worst mistake you can make, because they don't know. That's why they've got you. Because they don't know.
They don't know. Got to tell them.
Man. All right. So anyway, we know what loan to value is, and that's a big part of it. Now, going back to this to the credit score, what are some of the things that you tell a lot of people? Because I know there's a lot of examples. I'm sure people got different issues. But what are some of the things you can do to cause a credit score to go up in a short time?
Reduce the balance on your revolving accounts. What that means is pay off or pay down drastically your credit cards. If you have 9 credit cards and all of them are at 100% or 99% of the available usage, even though you have perfect credit score, perfect payment history, you could not necessarily have the best credit score because you are utilizing all of your credit. So what the algorithm says that if an emergency comes up, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? You're
It
not
makes
going to
a lot
have
of sense.
the finances to take care of that.
All right. Well, how about this question? Let's say I've got a credit and I've got a balance on my credit card, but I pay well over the minimum payment. So every time you get a statement, there's no minimum payment. In fact, there's no payment due.
Yep.
Is that good? Or, you still have the balance due, but there's no minimum payment.
That's great.
So that helps your credit score? Is that the same as just paying it off in full?
You do not want to pay it off in full because if you have a zero balance, it shows that you're not utilizing your credit. So you want to use it, but you want to use it minimally because you want that trade line to factor into the calculation of your score every month. If you pay it off, it's saying that you are not using it. So they can't necessarily show your capacity to repay debt.
So if I use it throughout the month, but then pay the whole thing off each month, that's not helping me?
You could be hurting yourself, depending on when your creditor is reporting your balance to the bureaus.
So you really want to keep a balance on there.
Yes.
But you don't want a minimum. You want to pay a little more than what's the minimum payment so that it doesn't show a payment, I guess.
Yeah. As long as you keep your balance to 30% or lower of the available, you're going to get the most potential scores from that trade line every month in your credit.
So if I've got a $5,000 credit limit on my card, I want to keep it under a couple grand or something like that. But you're saying keep a balance.
Keep a balance.
Now, so if I'm looking at buying a house and maybe I don't have any credit cards or anything on it, so I need to go ahead and I need to do that to go ahead and boost up my credit score.
Yeah, and sometimes the easiest way to do that is to talk to mom or dad or grandma or grandpa and ask them if they will add you as an authorized user to a credit card that has an extensive history that's in positive standing. They don't necessarily have to give you access to that credit card, but what it does is it transfers that history from their credit card to your credit profile and most likely will increase your credit score pretty drastically.
Really?
Yes.
So I could just add myself to Brian's credit card.
That's right.
And I would be in good shape.
800s.
And I don't even have to make the payment.
Nope. That's right.
Wow. I did not know that.
Yes, a little tricky trick.
Brian, you know what we're doing after the show? Doing a little paperwork. That's incredible.
That's easy. Yeah.
Do people do that?
Yeah, it actually, it's the best way to build credit for college students, for your children, so that when they get through college, they have really good credit and they don't necessarily need mom and dad to co-sign for cars or that kind of stuff.
Well, we're out of time. It snuck
Thanks,
up on us.
guys.
But go to my website, frankiegriffin.com. Click on Real Estate Partners if you want to get in touch with Erica. Have a great weekend. Been listening to Success in Real Estate.